There'll be a lot of inquisitive eyes tonight on the pitching mound, both on Sports Channel and here inside the Oakland Coliseum. Getting our first look at number 50. Steve Carsey makes his big league debut tonight in Game 2 of a 3-game series with the Milwaukee Brewers. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to Oakland A's Baseball on Sports Channel. I'm Greg Papa with Ray Fosse. Ray, despite the last place status of the Oakland A's and being 20 games under 500, a little buzz around the ballpark tonight, energy, and it was also here last night. Todd Van Poppel in his finest moment as a major leaguer, undeniably last night.
I thought he did a tremendous job, and to hear the reaction of the fans when he came off the field after being taken out of the ball game, he pitched so well, and any time a pitcher has a good fastball, it is shown whenever he gets behind to the hitters, power hitters, they're looking fastball, yet they're not able to pull the pitch. They're hitting it in foul territory. That's a good example of a great fastball.
He was so stunned by the ovation, he didn't know what to do. He walked off the mound like he had a bad outing. But now he's the veteran on this staff.
Yeah.
3 months and 15 days older than tonight's starter. And we welcome Steve Carsey to the Oakland A's, the man they gave up, Ricky Henderson, obtaining in very good numbers there. Ray, you see the strikeouts and the inning pitch total. But last night, as you mentioned before, Van Poppel had a hard time with the curveball, got by mainly with the fastball. This guy, despite being the same age, appears more refined with the curveball.
Just watching him warm up, taking his warm-up tosses down to the bullpen, he has a very compact delivery. He seems very confident with that delivery. Good fastball, the breaking pitch, and the changeup. If he can get the changeup and the curveball working, he's going to make his fastball that much better. He seems to spot it very well. We'll see what happens tonight.
He'll be opposed by right-hander Jamie Navarro, a young veteran, 25 years of age with the Milwaukee Brewers, who last year won 17 games. They're winning his pitcher. He's having a down year this year like many of his teammates. For Steve Carsey, he doesn't care who the other pitcher is, because tonight he gets to show his stuff to the major leagues. We'll come back with the starting lineups and the very first pitch from Steve Carsey when we continue from Oakland in a moment.
This exclusive presentation of Ace Baseball on Sports Channel is brought to you by Bud Dry, the less filling beer with a lot more taste. Why ask why? Great Western Bank's family of companies, $38 billion strong. Great Western will always be there. RCA, changing entertainment again. Interactive Network. Remember, all Sports Channel Major League Baseball games are interactive. The bold look of Kohler. What a beautiful way to live. Rolaids. Rolaids spells relief.
Final question, ladies. How would you save the planet?
Tax credits for education. Aggressive environmental legislation. Which planet?
Why do pageants still grate on a curve?
Queen of the entire planet.
Try a less filling beer with a lot more taste. Bud Dry. With a beer this different,
What a surprise.
it's no contest.
Another very pleasant evening inside the Oakland Coliseum, 71 degrees, as we are set to get it underway. The A's and the Milwaukee Brewers. And there he is, 6'3", 205-pound right-hander, Steve Carsey, wearing number 50. The last A to wear number 50, Jay Howell. Here's Phil Garner's lineup. Pat Listash will open it at shortstop. Juan Bell, George's younger brother, is batting second and playing second. Darrell Hamilton, one of the most overlooked complete players in baseball. He's in right field. The cleanup man, Greg Vaughn. The A's are holding him down this year. Kevin Reimer, their DH, bats number 5. Robin Yount on his way to Cooperstown. He'll be in center. B.J. Surhoff, after a miserable start, is picking it up at third base. John Jaha plays first after a homer last night. And the Aussie, Dave Nielsen, will catch Jamie Navarro against Steve Carsey. A lot of pressure on this young man, Ray.
Well, there is, but I think from his standpoint, he just looks at it as an opportunity to get up here a little quicker than what he had expected. As I mentioned before, he thought about next year, so he gets to come up the last 6 weeks of the season. Probably great news for him, because it gives him an opportunity to get his feet wet at the major league level with a ball club that is not in contention. So the pressure, yes, of pitching in the major leagues. However, not the pressure of being brought up in a pennant contention season for a ball club. So I think it's a great move for the Athletics to do with Carsey what they have done with Todd Van Poppel. And Poppel is very relaxed. Of course, that's the confidence that he is showing and has shown, especially in his last 4 or 5 starts, 4 wins in his last 4 starts. and you can see it more and more on the mound each time he takes the field. His defense for Carsey: Brown, Henderson, and Sierra from left to right. On the infield, Paquette, Bordick, Gates, and Aldretti from third to first. Scott Heeman doing a lot of catching, and will be now with the injury to Terry Steinbach, catching Steve Carsey. And there is Terry Steinbach with the cast on his right arm. And tonight, Kurt Young with a sling on his left arm, as he had surgery on his left shoulder. And so the lefty-righty combination, pitcher-catcher, and both of them out for the season.
Well, last night, Todd Van Poppel was able to ease the pain of the loss of Steinbach with his outing. Carsey will try to ease the pain of the loss of Blankenship, who almost assuredly will miss the remainder of the year with the partially torn rotator cuff. Pat Lestache will be an answer to a trivia question a number of years down the road. Who led off against Steve Carsey? And here it is.
Oh.
Strike one at 7:06 Pacific time. Carsey is a major leaguer. Brian Onora, we saw him behind the plate over the weekend of the Twins series. He works with Brinkman, McClellan, and Hickox. He throws a fastball, a curveball, and a changeup. He said during our on-deck program, Ray, what an engaging guy, a big smile.
Yeah.
75% fastballs, 20% curves, and 5% changeups. And there is a fastball, strike two.
He is already in the second pitch. He shook off Scott. I think for the location, he wanted the fastball, but he wanted it inside. And that is a great delivery. If that's the first two pitches in his major league career, and if they're anything like for the rest of his career, it's going to be a great one. Fans wanted 3 strikes and 3 pitches.
Dave Duncan, like most of these young pitchers, really does not have a read on this guy until he sees him up close. Even setting up in over the middle. There's the curveball. Fastball, 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 and then curved him to strike out his first big league batter.
Not a good start for Carsey, and there's that good curveball. And that is a perfect position when you have 2 strikes on a hitter, especially when you're ahead of the count, eyes on the target all the way, and the right over the top curveball. Great spin, great rotation on the curveball.
That's what we talk about. When we had Glenn Abbott here, the AA pitching coach, over the weekend during the Heroes of the Game series, there's the curveball again. They said Todd Van Poppel's got great stuff. But Todd Van Poppel at this stage of his career, Ray, does not have the command that Steve Carsey has, and we can see it right away. This guy commands his curveball. He's thrown 2 beauties for strikes. Juan Bell, another curveball that just missed. That's also, at least the ones he has shown so far, the 3 curveballs he has thrown, he takes a lot off the pitch. It's not a real hard curveball. It's a little slower curveball.
But he does not change the arm speed. As a hitter, you cannot pick that up from him, at least so far in this ball game. Fastball and curveball, same arm speed with each pitch.
Fastball. Juan Bell takes to left. Jerry Brown. 2 outs.
Number 24, Darrell Hamilton, right field.
That'll bring up Darrell Hamilton, hitting at .314. Quietly, this guy is one of the most complete players in all of the game. Doesn't hit for a lot of power, but he'll surprise you every now and then. Routinely, a high batting average, great thrower, solid fielder, and he really jumps all over the Oakland A's. He was 10 for 21 against the A's early in the year. He was 0 for 3 in last night's loss. Steve Carsey throwing strikes, getting ahead, and retiring hitters. He's got Hamilton in a 2-strike hole.
But again, Hamilton likes to go to the opposite field, and he waits a long time at the plate. So the good fastball, it's not uncommon for him to hit the ball into foul territory the way he just did.
Overthrows his fastball. We have installed a special camera. We'll call it a Carsey cam for his debut tonight behind home plate, and there it is. So we got him in a little crossfire. We got a camera from center field when he delivers the ball, and we'll give you a lot of his great facial expressions in between pitches. And that curveball really has a lot of bite on it. Just missed there, says Onora. It's 2-2.
What I like about Carsey already, if you watch him in that watch his eyes. He does not take his eyes off the target. He gets the sign, and as he winds up, he just keeps the eyes right on Scott Heeman's target.
He also has his pitching hand hidden from the batter just behind his leg, and then he brings it right up into the mitt and finds the ball quickly. Hamilton on the ground. Mike Bordick plants. It is a 1-2-3 first inning for Steve Carsey. Listach, Bell, and Hamilton go routinely. In a pretty good early sampling of what may be the future for the Oakland A's. He looked very good. Here's the way the A's will bat behind Carsey. Brought to you by Motorola. Mike Bordick, red hot since being installed as a leadoff man. Jerry Brown bats 2. Ruben Sierra's in right field. Troy Neal is the A's DH. Brett Gates with a homer last night, down to 5th in the batting order. Mike Aldrete back after his brush with Winfield on Sunday. Dave Henderson's in center. Craig Kent will play third base. And it's a young battery tonight as Scott Heeman is catching Steve Carsey. Well, he's not quite as young as Van Poppel and Carsey, Ray, but he's still relatively a young man, and he's already put up some big numbers in the major leagues. 25-year-old Jamie Navarro, but this year, a big letdown year for him.
Well, you see his numbers. That's a very high earned run average for a ball club that led the American League in the earned run average department last year. Navarro with a good live fastball, slider, and a changeup. He'll throw the sinker as well as a four-seam fastball. Good size, as you can see, 6'4", 210-pounder. And there, the decision, the numbers on the right-hander of the Milwaukee Brewers. And as Don Rowe, the pitching coach, said, nothing has changed from his staff. They have given up 1 run more this year than they did last year as a staff. But overall, he feels that their staff is comparable to the one they had last year, which led the American League. Defensively, Greg Vaughn is in left field, Robin Yount in center, Darrell Hamilton in right field, B.J. Surhoff is at third, Pat Listach at shortstop, Juan Bell at second, John Jaha at first base. David Nilsson is behind the plate. Catching the right-hander, 24-year-old Jamie Navarro. And he doesn't look anything different from what he did last night. Steve Carsey was sitting at the end of the bench. He's moved up a couple of spots as he's the starting pitcher tonight, but that same calm face, nice, easy smile, and just probably having a great time.
Well, last night when he arrived, Ray, after going through the batting practice session with the ball club, out shagging flies and saying hello to his new teammates, he was brought into the A's dugout and he met the members of the media. And usually in those situations, a young player, it's almost like the headlights on the deer, you know, in the road, and he's kind of flustered and they're all over him. But it was even footing. The media would ask a question, you know, a pressure question, and Steve Carsey would look him right in the eye and answer with confidence. There's no doubt that when you reach the level in athletics that he has so quickly, you do so with a great deal of confidence. Does not always transmit from the player, you know, outwardly to the world, but for this guy, there's no doubt that he is a confident person, not only as a pitcher, but he knows how to handle himself.
Well, in his first inning, of course, on the mound and actually doing the job is indication of that confidence.
Mike Bordick has that batting average up to 280. He was at 250 at the All-Star break. Last 3 games since being placed in the leadoff spot, he is 8 for 12. It began the second game of the doubleheader on Saturday when he went 2 for 4. Had a 4 for 4 game on Sunday against the Twins. Then last night of the first game of this series, he was 2 for 4 again. Jamie Navarro misses, low and away to Bordick. 2 balls and 1 strike. It is Mike Bordick, Jerry Brown, and Ruben Sierra against the 6'4", 210-pound Navarro. Bordick chops it. Surhoff cuts it off and makes the play.
Well, died on Surhoff as he was charging. He was going to cut in front of the ball, as he did, but then he had to reach back for it. Heavy ball thrown by Navarro, and Bordick not able to hit this very hard. Listach was ready, and you see that Surhoff had to reach back to get the ball, but yet with his strong arm, he's able to make the play easily.
When they moved B.J. Surhoff over to third base, Ray, they didn't question his hands. It's the foot speed. Would he be able to get to balls? If he touches the ball, he has such soft hands, he's going to be able to make a play. And he's been more than adequate his first year as a third baseman. That move has worked out well. Jerry Brown takes a strike. Brown got off to a bit of a slow homestand. He was just 1 for his first 8, but he has picked up 3 hits in his last 8 at-bats, and now make it 4 for 9. Let's see how Hamilton plays this. He's very good, and he'll hold Jerry Brown to a single with a 360 spin and a quick release.
Ball was not hit that hard, so no chance of it going down in the corner, and because of that, I think Jerry Brown was content with just a base hit, but got out in front like a little sinker. And Hamilton, good play, as there's that 360. Good to see an outfielder be able to do that and have the accuracy on the throw once he makes the complete turnaround.
You know, it has been just a miserable year for the Milwaukee Brewers, Ray, after last year's excitement with Garner. First year, they won 92 games. Took the Blue Jays all the way to the final Saturday of the regular season. But they, I think even to a larger extent, have been really hammered by injuries in the A's. At one time, they had all of their outfielders hurt. They couldn't put anybody in center field. They lost both Hamilton and Yount simultaneously. Just about all of their players have spent some portion of this season on the disabled list.
And it makes it very tough, too, unless you have such a strong bench, which how many clubs can have enough guys on the bench to come in and play every day on a regular basis? That makes it a little bit tough. But Phil Garner took the good last year, and he's dealing with a little bit more of the bad this year. But he is, as they say, scrap iron, and he keeps battling.
Well, same can be said for Ruben Sierra, trying to break out of a 1 for 20 homestand. He pulls it for a base hit. Jerry Brown will challenge Hamilton, and he will draw a throw. Now Sierra's hung up between the first and second. The throw is, he's out. No, he's safe. There was a long time coming on the call, and you got the impression McClellan was going to ring him up, but he never did. And then he said safe. So Ruben Sierra able to wiggle his way out of a mistake.
Unfortunately, it was a bad throw from the cutoff man, because that's the key. Hamilton, solid base hit, good idea. Jerry Brown, not necessarily testing the arm, but just aggressive base running. And Sierra, once he saw, I guess he thought the ball was going to be overthrown over the cutoff man. And once it went back, see, there's the bobble. And that's why he was safe all the way, because of the low throw. But as a runner, if that is a low throw, going to the extra base, you have to stop.
Troy Neal has a shot for at least his 46th RBI. Jerry Brown at third base, and Ruben Sierra on at first base, just one away as the A's bat in the bottom of the first. Or pardon me, Sierra's down to second base on the throw at second and third. Brewers are conceding the run, not able to turn the double play. They'll be careful as they pitch to Neal with first base open. Nielsen slides in, and Navarro misses way in. 2-1. He's only faced Jamie Navarro twice previously. Neal fouls it back. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. This is only Navarro's second start this year against the A's, and his first start came back the first week of the season on April the 9th. He was not around for a decision that went to the Brewers 6-5.
All Troy Neal's looking to do is put the ball in play. As a ground ball to any of the infielders will give the Athletics the first run of the ball game.
Now Navarro backs off as he and Nielsen were not quite set. They may be changing the signs here with a base runner down to second base.
Well, the main thing is the fact that Navarro wants to throw a certain pitch, and Nielsen is going back to the same pitch that he's calling it. And a lot of times, Dave Nielsen, as he was telling me before the ball game, he gets the game plan from Phil Garner and his pitching coach Don Rowe, and he knows what they want him to throw. And so he keeps going back to that sign. Navarro steps off, then he has to go out and tell him verbally, this is what we want you to throw.
2-2 pitch. Oh, a nice sinker. And that strikes out Troy Neal.
And that's what he told him and wanted him to throw.
Good idea.
Number 13, Brad Gates.
Excellent pitch. A ball that was not in the strike zone, but to Troy Neal, he couldn't see that as it was approaching the plate. Something off speed. You could tell by the way Troy was out on the front foot.
Now, is that the sinking fastball or a slider?
It looked like the slider, but it went down like a sinker. So that's just the action of his slider.
Gates up the middle, base hit, scores Brown. Sierra will come around. It's a 2-run single for Gates. The A's have given Carsey a 2-0 lead.
And except for Troy Neal, everybody has forgotten about him striking out with runners at second and third and one out, because Brent Gates takes him off the hook and gives Steve Carsey a couple of run lead in his first inning. Brent Gates normally takes a pitch or two, but he saw a fastball. He's able to handle it, just push the hands through. This pitch is inside. Got the hands through, and he is so quick. He showed last night with his first home run from the right side, and he is so quick, especially from the left side.
Well, as he's told us many times, he thinks up the middle as Aldrete takes the pitch for a ball. But you really had to wonder how he was going to be able to get that ball up the middle. He did not get it on a good part of the bat, as it was way inside. A very good pitch by Navarro. Tough one to give up a 2-run single on. He's soaring, Gates. Confidence is back after his 0 for 16. Speaking of back, here's Mike Aldrete, who on Sunday, in turning a great double play to get Mike Moeller out of the first inning, collided with the base runner, the batter, Dave Winfield. Winfield's elbow into the jaw of Aldrete. After the rest of that ball game missing, and last night he's back in. Navarro falls behind Aldrete, 3 balls and no strikes. Like the entire staff, Navarro is just not a guy that walks people.
Well, he has to be a little disappointed, and probably a letdown for him with Aldrete at the plate after giving up the 2-run single after he makes a big strike, and a big strikeout to Troy Neal. A lot of times hitters, or people will say, well, there's not as much pressure on the hitter at the plate with 2 outs. And to some degree, I guess that's true, because you're not expected to come through as Troy Neal would have been with just 1 out. Just try to put the ball in play.
Runner moving, and the throw sails, but it doesn't matter because that was ball 4. Aldrete walks as the young umpire Onora didn't get it out quickly enough, so Nielsen threw down to second base. It's a walk, though, to Aldrete, first and second, and 2 outs.
Which is an indication that Nielsen thought it was close enough to be a strike, and that's why he did not wait, did not hesitate, came up and threw the ball, even though it was offline.
We saw Brian Onora work game 1 of the doubleheader here on Saturday against the Twins. And the general consensus was that Onora was pretty strong behind the plate. This is the first time the Oakland A's are ever seeing him in this homestand. There are 3 fill-in umpires, as they are called, that come around when needed. Ed Hickox, I don't think he can be labeled that anymore. He's over at third base tonight. He's been pretty regular this year. The same with Gary Cedarstrom. But Onora is now getting some late season work in the American League. 1-0 to Dave Henderson. Fastball is high. A's have scored twice in the first inning. Here's what Dave Henderson has done on the homestand, and Don Rowe, the Brewer pitching coach, is out to talk to Navarro, who falls behind Henderson 2-0, has been unable to locate his fastball early in this ball game.
Don Rowe, the pitching coach, as most clubs do their stretching before the ball game or before batting practice, Don Rowe takes his pitchers aside and he goes through the exercise program, stretching program for his pitchers, while their conditioning coach works with the position players. And I said, how do you do that? He said, well, I figure as old as I am, if I can do them, they have to do them. And he does an excellent job with his ball club.
Now, would there be separate set of
different types,
stretching exercises to stretch different muscles for a pitcher? Obviously, yes.
Yeah, I was watching him yesterday, and more upper body and just a lot of stretching and just getting the upper body, a lot of it. And I'm sure as much with the legs as possible, too.
After walking Aldrete on 5 pitches, he falls behind Henderson 3-0, then grooves a fastball for a strike. Last year, Navarro walked 2.3 per 9 innings of work, the 7th best in the American League. And all 5 of their pitchers, their starters last year, Ray, walked fewer than 2.7 per 9. This team still does not walk many people. Henderson fights the fastball that was inside off, and it's now 3 balls and 2 strikes. Greg Paquette, the 8th place hitter in the order, will be batting if Henderson can keep it alive. Runner at second base is Gates after a 2-run single. Aldrete's over at first after a walk. They're moving. Henderson fouls it back. Continues to make Navarro work here in the first inning. Jamie Navarro, each of the last 2 years, the Brewers' winningest pitcher. 91. He was 15-12 with an ERA of 3.92, 10 complete games. And then last year, even a better year, when he won a career-high 17 and lost 11 with a 3.33. Gates and Aldrete on the move again. And Henderson takes strike 3 called. Probably the best pitch he threw all inning was the last one to get Dave Henderson. A's leave 2 on, but score 2 on the Gates 2-run single. Carsey goes out for inning number 2 when we come back.
At the first tickly itch of athlete's foot, Desenex, do not stall. Desenex intercepts athlete's foot before it turns ugly, killing those grungy fungi before they get cracking and burning. There's a can at the store with your salvation in it. Come get it, or else don't blame Desenex. And for jock itch, Crew-X is the #1 cure. Crew-X kills jock itch fungus.
Presenting the RCA 52-inch projection screen home theater. It's bigger and brighter than almost anything out there.
I'd love a house of my own.
With bay windows.
And the kids upstairs.
On a ranch house?
If you're dreaming of your first home, here's good news. Great Western Bank has mortgages for first-time buyers.
We'll have a big porch.
Covered with ivy.
You get low rates and a choice of mortgages. It's perfect for you.
Hey, I'll build a picket fence.
For the dog.
Stop dreaming about that first home. Talk to your realtor or call Great Western.
We'll have room for my mom.
Or not.
Steve Carsey begins his second inning of work after getting a 2-run single from Gates in the first. Carsey's debut on A's Baseball on Sports Channel. Authorized under TV rights granted by the A's solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the expressed written consent of the Oakland Athletics Baseball Company is prohibited. Well, Pirates jumped all over John Burkett. 3 in the first, 2 in the second, 3 more in the third. And Atlanta has won. That's now a final. So if the Giants don't have a big 9th inning there at 3 Rivers, the lead in the West will be down to 6.5 games. Carsey to Greg Vaughn on a ground. Bounce to Paquette, and he throws out Vaughn. And the Giants game has just now ended. So the lead in the West is down to 6.5. The Atlanta Braves have won 8 in a row now with their victory.
I thought they might have cooled off when they did cool off a bit after Fred McGriff had arrived, and they won a few in a row, then cooled off, but they have taken off again.
And I don't think I have to say this around these parts, but the Atlanta Braves are coming to town beginning Monday night.
First hitter that Carcey has not started off with a strike. He did that with the first 3 hitters and a first pitch out with Greg Vaughn. Second inning has to be a tremendous letdown for him after the first inning. 1, 2, 3. A lot of zip on the fastball, but he just has to continue that through the remainder of his time on the mound. And there it is.
Well, it's the strike over. 2 balls and 1 strike. As I said, he's 6'3", 205, although he has long legs. He's pretty thick. I wonder when they last weighed him. You think he looks a little more than 205?
Well, ask Mark McGuire about the media guides. It's 25 pounds additional to what he is listed at 225. He's at 250, so that kind of tells you something. Maybe they haven't updated it lately.
There's Mac. Put on 25 pounds over the summer, about 12.5 pounds in each arm. 3-1. Reimer fouls it off. Count goes full.
Kevin will go through a few bats in a season. I mean, he just lost one right there, hitting the ball off the end of the bat. Very strong, though, when he makes contact. He can hit it a distance.
Kevin Reimer, the former Texas Ranger, his first year with the Brewers. He went through Colorado during the expansion draft and was dealt on to the Brewers for Dante Bichette. Carcey has retired the first 4 Brewers. Make it the first 5 Brewers. Last night it was Van Poppel retiring the first 7 Milwaukee Brewers before, I take it back, the first 6 Brewers. Then he a lot of leadoff walk in the 3rd. Retired 16 of the first 19 men, then gave up the single to Listash.
Van Poppel doing something a little different last night. He didn't start one of the first 6 hitters off with a strike. He was behind early and often in the ball game.
Robin Yount. Carcey does not care in the first pitch. He pours his fastball strike in there.
This is what has to be a real thrill for a young pitcher. You see the accomplishments of Robin Yount, a future Hall of Famer, but to be on the mound, 21 years of age, and facing actually his first hitter that he will be in the Hall of Fame, in Robin Yount.
That note we just put up there, the other 2 players, Stan Musial and Hank Greenberg, to win the MVP award at different positions. Converted from shortstop to center field at 85 after some shoulder problems. Count is now 2-1 from Carcey to Robin Yount. Robin Yount is also one of 4 players in the history of Major League Baseball to play 1,000 games each at 2 different positions.
That's a great pitch.
Wow.
That the fastball inside corner, had the corner, but enough pop on it to get it past Robin Yount, who likes that pitch. He likes to inside out the inside fastball, but he's not able to get around on the pitch.
Fastball, 91 miles per hour the last pitch. Robin Yount to Bordick on the fly. Steve Carcey, a 1-2-3 inning in each of the first 2. It's 2-0 A's. We go to the bottom of the 2nd.
Brian Weber with the New Sport Update. On the night America remembered the King, another Elvis takes the spotlight. Niner starter Steve Bono injured Monday against the Broncos, and rookie Elvis Grbac jumps into the lineup to lead San Francisco to a 16-13 win. All this on the 16th anniversary of Elvis Presley's death. Coincidence? I'm not sure. New Sport, 24 hours a day.
Any faucet can turn on water. Kohler faucets give it shape. Change the flow. Once you turn on a Kohler faucet, you'll never want plain water again. See your plumbing contractor for all Kohler products.
Look into your car's future and you'd use T-Plus engine treatment to keep it running like new. T-Plus, the engine treatment with the extra protection of DuPont Teflon.
Shining star, love the excitement. Tune up your car, Tom Smothers. Tune up your car today. Take it, Tom. With spark plugs from NGK.
And the Cheeseheads are here at the Oakland Coliseum for the second game of this series. Thumbs up. But the Brewers are trailing 2-0 in the bottom of the second. Saturday, August the 28th, the A's take on the Detroit Tigers at 105 in the first 20,000 adults. 16 and older get a great-looking multi-purpose equipment bag, compliments of Lucky's and Coca-Cola. For tickets, visit the A's box office or call 510-762-BASS.
You may wonder, where do you get a big slab of cheese like that around these parts? Well, whenever the Milwaukee Brewers are in Oakland, they are sold at the concession stands here at the Coliseum in honor of the visitors. B.J. Surhoff throws out Craig Paquette. I'm not sure I used the right word there, Ray. Would you say that's honoring the visitors?
They always,
that's a little moldy to me.
Well, it's a homemade job there. That's not the foam.
Yeah, that does look. You can tell by the black hole there, a little different.
Do they sell?
Throw that guy out. He's an imposter.
How about when Ryan comes in? Nolan Ryan, do they sell gas? Have some pumps set up someplace in the parking lot. The Express, the gasoline man is pitching.
Scott Heeman, who's going to be catching a lot now with the injury to Steinbach. Very exciting time for Scott. We're zeroing in on Van Poppel and Carsey, but he's going to be the man now with this injury to help mold these two young pitchers.
That's a fun time for a catcher. Scott Heeman's a young catcher himself, but yet to be responsible for the development of a couple of young pitchers. He has done the majority of the catching of Van Poppel, and of course now getting the opportunity to catch Carsey. And actually, in a case like this, you forget almost about your hitting. You think about it to the point of you're trying, but yet you're concentrating more on how you're handling these pitchers. And a lot of times you're thinking about who the hitters you're going to be facing in the next inning as opposed to concentrating on the at-bat.
So close to all this cheese talk, I'm not sure we should be using the word mold anymore, but 2-1 pitch. Heeman up the middle and base hit past Juan Bell. That is the A's fourth base hit.
If Navarro is having a problem, and tonight's any indication of the fact that he's getting the fastball up too much in the strike zone and not utilizing that sinker down. Look at this location. It's up about the waist level for Heeman, and no sinking action on that fastball, and as a result, it's a base hit again right up the middle.
It's been a curious year for Navarro. He started very slowly. First 7 starts, he was 0-3 with a 5.97. Then he won 5 straight decisions from mid-May through mid-June. And his record at one point at 5-3, and his ERA at about 4.5. They're running, and the ball gets away, and Heeman is sliding. He didn't need to, as Nilsson had no chance.
That was a straight steal all the way, because otherwise Bordick would have been swinging even though the pitch was outside. He just probably saw the big jump, and even if it was hit and run, why even take the chance? Check this jump out. He is about 4 steps before Navarro kicked his leg and released the baseball.
And now back live, the pitch to Bordick misses, and Navarro gets himself into a further jam, falling behind Bordick 2-0. Bordick wrapped out to third, his first at bat. And he pushes him back. Navarro, despite all of his troubles, we talked about he was at 5-3 with a 4.35 at one point. Ray has even begun to struggle more. Last 12 games, his ERA is at 6.5, 6.56, but he normally does not miss too much. He throws strikes. And there he gets a 3-0 over to Bordick. Heeman's running, and Bordick fouls it off. It's 3-2. Heeman just gets the news now. I'm not sure he's got the news. Yeah, he's got the news. He's going back to second base after he cleans himself off. Very aggressive here.
John Wathan's record for most stolen bases by catcher, is it 32? John Wathan with the stolen base record.
As a member of the Royals.
As a member of the Royals, and Scott Heeman might take a chance if he gets a chance to play on a regular basis. Obviously, it may not. I'm talking this year, but he has enough speed as a catcher, and it's not an element of surprise with him. Opposing teams know that he can run.
3-2 to Bordick. Is ball 4, just missed. So Jamie Navarro follows up Heeman's single and stolen base with a walk of Bordick. He walked Eldreddy in the first. He's now walked 2 in the ball game. Don Rowe, Milwaukee Brewers pitching coach of a year ago, helped to put this staff together, and they pitched very well last year. Stressing you must throw strikes, and they still are, despite not nearly as effective with an ERA at 4.50 coming into play tonight. They do throw strikes, as they have walked the fewest hitters in the American League. Jamie Navarro is having a difficult time getting strikes. Second base Heeman, first base Bordick. A's leading 2-0, batting in the second with just 1 away. As Heeman has proven, you can steal off of Navarro. 17 last year, 23 the year before American League runners took. And Jerry Brown hits it to center. Robin Yount is going to be able to take it. Heeman tags and goes to third. Bordick retreats to first. There are 2 outs, runners at first and third.
Very good base running by the A's on that play, as Heeman, once he saw the ball was not going to get over the head of Robin Yount, he went back to tag at second. Meanwhile, Bordick stayed near second. He was not tagging, knowing the throw was going to come back into second, and Yount has a strong arm. So now it's first and third, with a fly ball can score the A's another run.
Let's see what Dave McKay might be whispering in Bordick's ear. First and third, 2 outs. You want Ruben to get a chance to drive in a run here. But a steal of second base, depending on how much attention Navarro pays, Ray, entirely plausible here. Jaha holding him on, Bordick not going, and there is ball 1.
Dave McKay has the stopwatch on the delivery of the pitcher, how long it takes for him to get the ball to the plate. And a lot of the times when he goes over to talk to the runner at first base is to tell him this is his time. This is how long it's taking for him.
Big swing by Sierra. Sierra trying to get himself out of this slump, was able to get one through the hole on the right side of this first at bat for a single. Almost blew it by advancing too far to first, but was able to advance to second without being tossed out of the bad throw.
And Juan Bell now is trying to cut down some of that hole. He's playing on the outfield grass and shading closer to first base. You can see that the hole, if you can call his last at bat, it's about where Sierra hit the ball in the right field.
Well, he won't get this one. Very high, very deep, but a little foul. Foul ball. Ruben didn't go too far down the line. He had an inkling that he hooked that ball a little too much.
A high leg kick, a high fastball. He just was too quick on it. An indication that maybe the velocity of the high fastball from Navarro is not as great as it is down in the zone.
Yeah, pitch is low. Obviously, it's been a rough year for Ruben Sierra. Many at-bats, he looks extremely off balance. But when he gets that leg kick and times it right with the thrust right, he can really lay a swing on a baseball, can't he?
I think when he was earlier not swaying back with the leg but lifting it straight up more is when he was getting out of a little bit of a slump. Because when he sways the way he does and gets the weight shift going forward, if there's an off-speed pitch, then he cannot adjust. Kirby Puckett lifts his straight up. He can make an adjustment with his leg kick.
2-2. Ruben pops. They're going to come over and look at it, but it's going to be just a little up that runway. It leads from the A's dugout to the clubhouse. Surhoff, the former catcher, and Dave Nielsen, their current catcher, over to look at it. Dave Nielsen is not had much success this year throwing out runners. Not entirely his fault, though, but he is generally regarded to be a very good handler of pitchers, I should say. Count is 2 balls and 2 strikes on Ruben Sierra. Sierra strikes out, and the A's leave 2 on. And we're going to have a treat for you when we come back. We got the input of one catcher. We'll have the input of another as we watch Steve Carsey in his 3rd inning of work.
Sports Channel wants to know, what are you doing this off-season?
I'm on vacation a little bit and do a little fishing, and probably go down to Mexico for a while, and then I'm going to come back and watch the Warriors on Sports Channel.
Points, couple of blocks.
We're going to watch the Warriors on Sports Channel!
Well, I'm going to be changing diapers this off-season, but afterwards I'm going to be watching the Sharks on Sports Channel.
Sharks on Sports Channel!
I'm going to go hunting and watch Cal and Stanford football on Sports Channel. Of course.
Cal football on Sports Channel! Yeah!
Watching the Warriors on Sports Channel.
Our plan is to travel as a family, and whenever we have any time, we'll watch Sports Channel, whatever's on.
Don't miss Sports Channel's exciting fall lineup.
As the summer sizzles, Prime's August blazes with excitement. Live professional tennis heats up with tournament action from around the nation, and tee it up with the pros from the LPGA and European PGA Tours. Then shift gears to auto racing with coverage from the SCCA, ASA, and NHRA. Plus, the punches and knockouts continue with the excitement of Prime Championship Boxing. The action and thrills blaze on this August on
Carsey has a 2-zip lead. Greg Papa back with you, and we said one catcher's input. We're going to double it. Joining Ray and myself is Terry Steinbach. And what's this ghastly device you have on your right arm here, all the way up and down?
I think it's an elbow rest is what I'd like to call it as.
What a tough break on Sunday. Of course, Steinbach hit by the pitch thrown by Scott Erickson. And yesterday gets the bad news. His wrist is fractured. He'll be out the remainder of the year. And it is going to be the rest of the year. No chance you'll come back this year, is there?
No, I just talked to the doctors today, and we're looking at least minimum of 4 weeks in the cast, and that might even be longer, pending how the fracture looks at that time.
All right, Carsey to B.J. Surhoff. Let's talk more about your injury and the state of the team when the A's are batting, but let's get your insights on the newest athletics pitcher. What do you think of Carsey the first couple of innings?
Well, so far I've been very impressed. You know, when you have a rookie pitcher go out there and keep the poise that he has through the first 2 innings, throwing a lot of strikes, making some quality pitches, and pretty much dominating the hitters thus far.
You were standing down in the tunnel, the runway, and now you're up here. Of course, you've just seen a couple of pitches, but how much different is it being down on the field as opposed to up here?
It's considerably different.
Here's a base hit for B.J. Surhoff, getting the first hit of the ball game off of Carsey. He retired the first 6, the first 2 innings, and now Surhoff opens the 3rd.
Like he tried to get the fastball inside, and Surhoff, of course, he didn't make it inside where he wanted it. Left it too much up and probably too much on the plate, and didn't get it down. And of course, not as much on the fastball when it's up as is when it is down in the zone.
He's shown a good curveball tonight, Terry, but give us your thoughts on the Carsey fastball so far.
Well, I think it's a very good fastball, and he complements the fastball very well, as you mentioned, with the breaking ball. He's shown the Brewers so far that he can't get the breaking ball over for a strike, and I think you're going to see the hitters in between here the rest of the game.
Now, one term you guys use is spot the fastball. He appears to be able to hit it in spots.
Yes, he has. When we had our meeting, we were talking about him, and we don't know a guy. You don't know whether he can move the ball in or out. So far, what we've seen tonight, he has the ability to hit the inside corner as well as the outside corner.
Steiny, how much do you miss the opportunity catching Carsey in his major league debut in the last 6 weeks of the season?
That's the biggest thing. I am going to miss. I'm going to have to use spring training next year to learn more about Todd Van Poppel, to learn more about Carsey, and
that's going to slice foul off the bat of John Jaha. Count is no balls and 2 strikes. Is it helpful at all, though, to watch him here up close and see the center field camera shot? I know you're not catching him yourself, but can this help you?
Yeah, it definitely does. You can see if he has the ability, as we talked about earlier, to get the fastball and get the fastball away. We can see if he can throw a 2-0 breaking ball and be able to get that over for strikes or not from our angle up here.
See how he holds runners. There's the curveball, and Jaha hits it to right center. Henderson long run, makes it. He was shading him towards right center to start, and that helped. And then he was able to leg it out. Nice play by the Hindu. 2 away, or pardon me, 1 away in the 3rd.
Jaha, as he showed last night, hits the ball hard to the opposite field. The curveball, I don't think as good as the one he threw to Listash to strike him out in the 1st inning. It left it up too much in the strike zone, and as a result, Jaha was able to take it to the opposite field. But how many times do you just want to put the catcher's mitt on the ground with the 2-strike curveball and say bounce it or throw it down low as opposed to leave it up in the strike zone?
Exactly right, Ray. I think that's an art that has kind of gotten lost here. There's so much talk about don't let a guy get a hit on an 0-2 pitch. And the other thing is you wanted the pitch to have a purpose. So either you see the guy throw it down the middle, or you'll see the guy throw the ball 40 feet on the ground, which doesn't accomplish anything either.
Carsey working from the stretch, and he throws a fastball for a strike to Dave Nielsen, the Brewer catcher. 1 ball and 1 strike.
When you see a young pitcher who was able to pitch inside as effectively as Carsey has already shown in this ball game, what does that say about him in the way he's able to pitch?
To me, I think it really shows the maturity of a pitcher when he has the ability to move that ball around like that and come into hitters. It's only going to help him throughout the rest of his major league career.
Now we're watching him for the first time in this inning with a runner on base, and we see how he has drastically changed his approach. He holds the ball in his hand. He moves himself way to the side. From the stretch, he changes things considerably, but still appears to have good stuff, despite the fact he's pitching from the stretch.
Yeah, one of the things I think that we can see from up here is his time is, I would say, average to a little bit below average getting the ball from the mound to home plate. Very similar to the problem Todd Van Poppel had in his first outing. I'm sure it's just a matter of time before Dave Duncan's going to work with him and try to get that move a little bit quicker to home plate.
2-1. Nielsen hits to left field. Brown sliding over, and he should have it, and he does for the 2nd out.
It's been amazing about Van Poppel how he has been able to use that slide step. And I think Dave Duncan was quoted from a 1-5 to 1-2, getting rid of the ball, and he does not seem to have lost anything off his fastball or any of his pitches by doing that.
Exactly right. That's usually the first thing that happens is once you speed a pitcher up, then his control goes downhill. As you mentioned with Todd, it was just the opposite. We sped him up on his delivery to home plate, and his control has been equally as good, if not better, since that time.
Watching one of the A's prize rookies, Steve Carsey, now to the Rookie of the Year in the American League last year. Shortstop Fenton Listash, and Carsey gets a strike. Carsey has allowed only 1 base runner. The runner is over at first base. B.J. Surhoff with a ground single to center to open this 3rd. He now goes through the batting order for the 2nd time. Heeman slides away, and he misses there. Now that he's going through the order a 2nd time, Terry, how will Scott Heeman change the way he calls the game with him?
Well, I think really what Scott's going to try to do is stay with Carsey's strengths. He showed the good fastball the first time through, the good breaking ball. Now it's just a matter of Scott doing his job of mixing it up, trying to get the hitters off balance and keep using those pitches.
Well, will he have to mix a curveball in maybe now? And then I don't think we've seen his changeup yet tonight.
He's thrown a couple. As a matter of fact, in this inning, to I think Surhoff, he threw a couple, or 1-2.
Here's the 1-1 fastball, and it's strike 2.
That's where you have to pitch Pat Listash, try to bust him inside with a fastball. And He likes to hit the ball so well to the opposite field. He slaps the ball, and if you can get the pitch inside, it does not give him that opportunity to take the fastball outside and just hit it into left field.
Surhoff, who runs well, being held by Aldretti, and the 1-2 misses.
And I haven't surprised that Surhoff is not running this inning since he's gotten on first, because Garner is a very aggressive manager, and I'm sure he's seeing that high leg kick, but he's also making up for it with a good fastball to get to Heeman.
Here's Duffy Dyer, who was a candidate for the Rockies job before it went to Don Baylor. Works third base for Phil Garner. Here goes Surhoff. Listach strikes out, though. The throw by Heeman doesn't count it, and he's lucky. As Listach swung through the 2-2 pitch, so Karsay gives up the leadoff single to Surhoff, but gets the next 3, and he's all pumped up to get out of the 3rd inning.
When you work one job, grab a quick lunch, a quicker dinner, and move on to job number 2, how you gonna spell relief? That's a big relief you can feel, because Rolaids absorbs 47 times its weight in excess stomach acid to stop heartburn fast. So for millions, there's only one way to spell 100% relief. Rolaids spells 100% relief.
Reincarnation. The belief you can come back is just about anything. Why do some guys have all the luck? Try a less filling beer with a lot more taste. Bud Dry. Because while luck may run out,
Happy birthday, Grandma.
For me?
true refreshment won't.
2.5 innings, Athletics leading by a score of 2-0 over the Brewers, as the Brewers picked up just the first hit in the top of the 3rd. The Oakland A's and the Bank of California Community Fund Golf Tournament is Thursday, September the 2nd at the Black Hawk Country Club. Tournament is a scramble format, and the entry fee includes greens fees, awards banquet, tea prizes, and much more. For more information, call 510-430-8020, extension 227. Here's the last pitch, the strikeout to Listach, and the throw into center field by Scott Heeman, but it didn't matter because it was strike 3, fortunately. The reaction of...
He's trying to pick him up. I'll pick you up, Rook. I struck him out. Don't worry about your toss.
Talk a little about Scott Heeman. We were talking between innings, and the throw he made last night with, was it Nielsen, who stole second, was not being held on at first. He was almost thrown out because Heeman came out so quickly from behind the plate. What does he need to work on to, especially the footwork that you have? How can you teach that to him?
Well, I think really with Scott, you know, the situation that he has is he's very, very quick behind the plate. He's got an extremely strong arm. And what he has to learn to realize is just that consistency factor. When he can go out there, and we talk about it quite a bit, but when he can get every throw right over second base and stay within the time frame that he's capable of throwing, which is quick anyway, he'll throw out a very, very high percentage of runners.
Here's Jamie Navarro to Troy Neal, the 2-1 pitch. Misses 3-1. We are joined by Terry Steinbach, and we will be for the next few innings, and he's hoping his quote from yesterday is accurate, saying, I haven't been out a day and I'm already bored. So he comes up and joins us. That's how bored he is. Neal takes it to left field. That's going to slice foul, though. There's where Neal's power is often. He hit it well, but it just sliced on him.
Terry, I don't want you to take this to heart, but this is how I got my start. I was on the disabled list.
Is it true?
1974. Charlie Finley is interesting. He didn't have a color analyst working with Monty Moore. Starting pitchers, he had...
I'm not surprised.
No, but he had 4 starting pitchers.
Cost money.
And if this pitcher wasn't starting, he'd do his workout and then get dressed and come up to the booth, he'd be the analyst. And if anybody's on the disabled list, get you upstairs and be an analyst.
That was part of your job responsibility?
Well, I mean, you got paid $1.
Go every fifth day and broadcast every
That's
fifth
it, but that's what he used. So guys were on the disabled list. I spent half my career on the DL anyway, so it's a good start. So there you have it, man. You've got to dress a little better, though.
Well, you kind of surprised me with this, Ray.
No, I'm kidding. Glad to have you up here.
Oh, we've had fun. Had Mark McGuire up over the weekend. This is like NBC Sports here. We're just a training ground for temporary coaches and players.
But not too soon, though.
Not too soon is right.
Come back.
I got a few more years, guys, all right?
Hey, for you as well as us.
Jamie Navarro to Brent Gates. With Troy Neal on at first base. There's a strike. Well, another day, another season-ending injury for the Oakland A's. Yesterday we lose Terry, and today now it is official. We told you during On Deck and at the top of the broadcast, but now it is official that Blankenship will have the surgery. It'll be arthroscopic surgery. He has a couple of small tears in his right rotator cuff, and he will miss the rest of the season. So what's the mood of the clubhouse, Terry, when things like this happen on a daily basis? It's almost like I would think you guys are immune to bad news.
Well, you know, it gets very frustrating anytime you have your teammates going down like that, and, you know, not for a small period of time, but, you know, when they're season ending, you know, it gets very, very discouraging in there.
But on the positive side, you're a veteran, Mark McGuire. What do you think about these young kids, Brent Gates, Paquette, guys getting a chance to play for the future of this club?
It's very, very inspirational. You know, you sit down and you kind of look out there and you see the young talent.
And here's one of them. One rookie advancing the other rookie as Neal goes first to third. And the A's have nobody out and runners on the corners against Jamie Navarro.
That's the University of Minnesota teaches kids how to hit, huh?
Well, we have to do something up there in the cold, so we get a lot of time inside the cages.
Waited very well on the breaking ball, a little different than the pitch he threw to Troy Neal to strike him out in the first inning. Left this breaking ball up, and Brent Gates hammered it into right field.
Now, since you and Brent both went to the same school, Terry, when's the first time you recollect hearing the name Brent Gates and knowing about him as a baseball player?
Well, actually, John Anderson, the head coach there, and I, you know, we stay in touch pretty much through the offseason. He kept telling me about Brent Gates when he was probably a freshman or sophomore. Say, hey, you know, this kid's got some potential, and it was at that time that, you know, you kind of start following him, and then of course, you know, hearing that he had broke a lot of the records that I set there, and ironically, the next thing we know, he's drafted by Oakland A's.
Now, did the A's ever confer with you before and get your input on him?
No, I mean, you know, it's one of those things that there's such a gap in time there that we really don't get to honestly see him and evaluate him and give the A's a fair evaluation of what that might be. So it's pretty much, I heard from Walt Jockey at the time that said, you know, hey, we drafted another Gopher first round.
Yeah,
Mark turned out well.
Mark McGuire was up and said that 2 years ago, his first spring, which would have been '91, when he came up and did so well, he said at that point he's going to be up here very quickly. So, did you see the same thing?
Exactly. The thing that sticks out in my mind about Gator so much is just his mental makeup. You know, faces Clemens, Ryan, whoever it is, you know, it doesn't matter. Even as Big Mac was saying when he was in spring training the first year, '91, no matter what pitchers he faced, he went out there, he did his job, he handled the bat very well, fielded his position, and you know, really enjoyed himself.
Navarro's 2-1. Aldretti lays off the appeal to third base, and it's ball 3, says Ed Hickox. Again, Jamie Navarro, very uncharacteristically wild as he has thrown as many balls as strikes so far in this ball game. What do you notice about Navarro in '93, Terry, that maybe he had or didn't have in '92? He was so good last year, but he's struggling this year.
Well, I just think if you look right now, you know, you look at the counts he's pitching in.
Aldretti drives it. Yount's going to watch it float out. A 3-run homer to center field. It is 5-0 A's.
Now, last night, Todd Van Poppel was falling behind a lot of counts, but when his fastball came in, the hitters were fouling it off to the opposite field. 3-1 pitch to Aldretti. Low fastball pitch for a low fastball hitter, and he hammered it. This ball went into seats in center field, over that kid's head. Almost hit a cameraman.
Oh, that's a poke in this ballpark. A real shot by Mike Aldrete. His 5th homer of the season. Dave Henderson pops it. Robin Yount will take this one. By pitching is such a delicate thing from one year to the last, and Navarro clearly is not the same guy this year. What do you pick up on this one, Terry?
Well, it's a situation there. He gets behind to a veteran hitter, Mike Aldrete, and he worked the count to 3-1. Navarro still has a good fastball and is pretty much a power pitcher, and Mike's sitting all over the fastball. He got a pitch down in the zone, which Ray had mentioned is Mike's strength, and he didn't miss it.
And from Navarro's standpoint, it wasn't a bad pitch. It was down. It wasn't up.
Yes.
But it just so happened to be a hitter who likes the low fastball.
You got to give Mike a little credit there for his experience, because he didn't try to do too much with that pitch. He knew he was going to get a fastball. He got one in the zone, and just put the bat on it squarely and drove it out of the ballpark to straightaway center field.
Had he tried to pull the ball instead of taking it to center field, it would have been a ground ball to second base, probably in a double play.
I wonder if he can get a razor blade over that jaw. That's for Winfield. Put the elbow on him. He may have a beard by the end of this month, huh?
Yeah, he was feeling a little shaken up that night. But obviously he came around and got a big hit for us there.
Strikeout of Paquette, his 2nd. Now, when you were hit Sunday by Scott Erickson, you dropped the bat, you walked to first base, gave him a little look. Did you think Scott was trying to come in intentionally on you?
I don't think so. I just hate to see anybody get hit in a situation like that. Minnesota, was sticking it to us. They had beat us 3 games. They were dominating game 4. Erickson is a sinker slider type of pitcher, so in my opinion, when he gets the ball up in the zone, it's kind of a little frustrating. In that point, it would have been easier to take to get hit in the kneecap or in the leg, because that's kind of his style. The way he sinks the ball in. So why they were pitching up and in like that, I still don't know, and I just don't like having to miss the rest of the season on a game that was 10-2 at the time.
Yes. Well, after the homer by Aldrete, Navarro got the next 3, but 3 were already across the plate on Aldrete's blast to center, and Carsey has a 5-0 lead as we go to the 4th inning.